What's up, guys? I am in one of my favorite spots in the woods right now, and I want to talk about evolution. I've wanted to talk about evolution forever, but I kept saying, oh, it's just not appropriate for this channel. My fans aren't going to like it. But you know what? So many people email me and message me about this, and they just want to talk to me about evolution. They want to talk. They're curious about what I think. They know that I'm a religious person. I believe in God. I believe in Christ. And they also know that I completely and 100% love science and embrace science. And I don't think that there's a conflict at all. In fact, the opposite of a conflict. I think that they very, very much are two beautiful parts of life. And I'm going to talk about this. I scribbled down a bunch of little notes, and I just want to talk about Rio's feelings on evolution and how I cope with the alleged disparity between religion and science or something. How can I deal with that? Because evolution is really hard for a lot of religious people, and a lot of whom are my fans. And so I just want to talk about this. I think it's hilarious when people say, I don't believe in evolution. I hear that all the time. Or they say, evolution is false. When somebody says that, I can pretty much guarantee you that they have no idea what evolution is. When somebody says that they don't believe in evolution, what they're trying to say is that they don't believe that man evolved from a monkey or a chimpanzee or a gorilla. And when they say that, I'm like, hey, guess what? Neither do I. In fact, I don't think any scientist alive today, any evolutionary biologist, thinks that man evolved from monkeys or gorillas or chimpanzees. What they say is that all the primates on the earth right now, us included, most likely share a common ancestor. And what people really miss about evolution, especially religious people, because they feel scared sometimes to dive in and study evolution. And I'll talk about that more in a sec. They feel like it's like sinful or scary. They'll lose their faith or something if they familiarize themselves and educate themselves on what biological evolution actually is. But one very simple thing that they miss when I have discussions with other religious folk about evolution is that evolution is not a monkey becoming a man. Evolution is basically, on the most basic level, the idea of adaptation, mutation, and variation. It's the theory of natural selection, which is basically that the thing that is the best equipped, the thing that is the organism that is most well adapted for its environment and for its conditions will be the organism that survives to carry on its genes. If you have dogs, if you have a purebred dog, if you're a dog person, you already accept evolution. If you get vaccines, you accept evolution. If you have, if you've taken antibiotics that are like newer, better antibiotics, upgraded from previous antibiotics, you believe in evolution. You believe that things are mutating and changing, and that's why we need to keep up with them and create new antibiotics. So people accept, they don't know it, but they accept evolution on a very basic level. But what some Christians will say, and it's not just Christians, like I said, it's some Orthodox Jews, Muslims, different worldviews all around the world. Because lots of people think that evolution is bad or evil, or you can't believe in God or whatever, and accept evolution. So a lot of Christians say, well, there is microevolution, so things will adapt and change, but there's not macroevolution, so they won't become a new species, which I think is silly, because that is just an empty thing to say. It's supported by absolutely no evidence. There's nothing at all in nature that's ever been documented or observed that indicates that microevolution will stop at some sort of invisible boundary and it won't become a different species, because that's just too much change. There's nothing at all to indicate that. But here's the thing. Here's the real problem with that argument. You see, it puts it puts religion and science on a collision course. Science is the study of the physical and natural world. It's an approach to the study of the physical natural world, the composition, behavior of what we can empirically observe. Empirical means what we can experience through the five senses: sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. Scientists deal with empirical evidence, or empirical, sometimes people call it physical evidence. Religion is on a totally different part of the spectrum of experience. See, we experience a lot in this life. Okay, not all of it is just through the five senses. And religion deals with experiences that we have that are outside of the five senses. For instance, just a couple months ago, I don't know how long ago exactly, but my daughter crawled out of view. She was behind the couch. And I was on my phone, and I was, I don't know, Facebook, or I was doing something. And I couldn't see her, couldn't hear her, nothing. And all of a sudden, it just came to me: your daughter's choking. Your daughter's choking, hurry. And I jumped up immediately, and I ran over there, and I stooped down. I swept her mouth out with my finger, and sure enough, she was choking on a scrunchie, like one of my wife's scrunchies that she had left on the floor. So that just happened. That happens to people all the time. There's so many phenomena in life that are spiritual phenomenon, out-of-body experiences. I was going to say my wife saw her grandfather after he passed away. So religion is basically an approach to the spiritual phenomenon in life, or the extrasensory phenomenon. So why put one part of the spectrum, why pit one part of the spectrum against another part of the spectrum? That doesn't make sense. Science proves religion wrong. That doesn't make sense. To me, that's like saying microwaves contradict radio waves, or infrared light means that ultraviolet light isn't true. The weird predicament that people put themselves in when they're trying to hold on to a biblical interpretation or something, when the reality is the Bible, there are very good arguments that Bible-believing Christians make to support evolution. Here's a quote from one of my heroes. I love this guy so much. His name is James E. Talmage. And I love how he says this. He says, "We cannot sweep aside all the accumulated knowledge in geology, archaeology, or some other branch of science simply because our interpretation of some isolated passage of Scripture may seem to be opposed thereto." And it's funny how we become so attached, us religious people, we become so attached to these dumb little interpretations that we have, and we just don't, and it's so easy to change them. It's so easy, and it's so much easier on yourself if you just say, oh, you know, I've encountered more information. My first reading of the Bible, my first interpretation was lacking, and that's okay. Another major pet peeve I have is Ken Ham and all of the nonsense that he perpetuates, and weird fundamentalists, young earth creationists like him that want a war against science. They want a war against facts and actual observable proof of things. Ken Ham is a guy that teaches that the world is 6,000 years old, that there were dinosaurs on the ark, da-da-da-da-da. It's just one expression of Christianity, and I think it makes the rest of us look horrible. It makes us look equally ignorant. There are Christians that completely embrace science, 100%, and it's just embarrassing to have the Ken Hams out there. I have a friend, he went to a conference with Ken Ham once. So my friend went up and talked to him after the conference. And he said to Ken Ham, he says, well, how do you combat all the science enthusiasts out there that say that they have like evidence, actual archaeological evidence, you know, bones and all these things that they can date them? And Ken Ham said, you don't have to have an answer. This is what he told me, Ken Ham said. You don't have to come up with an answer, or you don't have to provide evidence. All you have to do is cast doubt. All you have to do is question it. All you have to do is reject it. And people, that's enough for people to distrust the science. You don't have to provide evidence of another avenue. You just have to cast doubt. And that to me is, if that story is true, and if Ken Ham actually said that to my friend, that is so unethical and so dishonest and disgusting. Please never buy into the idea that because the Precambrian explosion was, we can't completely account for how it happened or whatever, therefore, science is false. That, in and of itself, is not evidence that God created the earth 6,000 years ago. It's not evidence that evolution is false. And that's such a scary, weird, very bizarre thing that actually a lot of people believe. They think that if there's a question or a mystery, that in and of itself constitutes evidence that evolution is false. Don't get stuck in that hamster wheel, because that is not logic. That's very circular logic. I remember when I was in college, one of my professors, he knew that I had a faithful worldview. He knew that I was a Christian, all these things. And he was just trying to hammer this evolution thing. And it really got to me, and I started having doubts, which caused incredible depression and anxiety and stress. And it was a horrible experience. Having a faith crisis sucks. And that's why I'm making this video, is because I think this is, I just don't see a lot of people like talking openly about this. Avoid the question, is evolution true? I remember praying for so long, asking, is evolution true? I need to know, I need to know. The problem with that question is it doesn't make sense at all. You know, it's like saying, is the blue sky true? Are trees true? It doesn't make sense. And if you're stuck on a question, then sometimes you put yourself in a position where you'll never find an answer, because there can't be an answer because the question doesn't make sense, which is why studying is so beautiful. Do you have a question about something? Are you upset by something? Study it, research it. Don't be scared. Don't come up with excuses to not study it. Don't come up with excuses saying that science is evil, or it's all a hoax, or that science has an agenda, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, you should avoid it. It's all temptation. That's ridiculous. And you're just going to stay ignorant. There's no defense. There's no good defense for ignorance. Okay? The answer is, when you have doubts and questions and you're hurting or whatever about this, study it. I have a 10 by 10 rule, especially with a controversial topic. If you come across some information that challenges your fundamental beliefs, okay, study it 10 different times from 10 different perspectives. Go to find 10 different experts with that actually have real credentials, or at least try to find real historians, doctors, scholars. Find people that have credentials and study and make sure they have differing opinions, and don't stop until you've studied it 10 times. Some people say, oh, research the opposition and research your own view. No, research way more than that. Research 10 different perspectives, opinions on the same topic. And if you're still not, if you still feel like you have questions, keep going. Just repeat, keep doing it. Guys, here's the thing. I believe that God answers prayers, okay? I believe in God. I believe he answers prayers. This is my opinion. I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but it's interesting. This is just in closing, this is what I'm going to say. I think usually this is just my opinion. I think usually he answers prayers not with an answer, but with a question. I think he will give you a curiosity, a passion, an insatiable desire, sometimes maybe even anxiety. Maybe he'll cause something to irritate you and rub you and stay in your mind. It will stick in your mind and you'll think about it more and more. Those are the kind of answers that are really, really substantial. Look, if he gave you a simple answer, you wouldn't be any better off, and you're still in ignorance with no understanding, and you're not going to be able to do anything with an answer. But if you have a question, right? If you have a burning desire to know something, or something's bothering you or agitating you, that's when you're going to grow. That's when you're going to go chasing. That's when you're going to go climbing up things, over obstacles, under things. And here's the beauty, guys. When you have a question, usually you start off and with the wrong question, and you don't realize it's the wrong question until you've researched and studied the topic at hand, okay? And the beautiful thing is, as you go researching and studying things like evolution, your questions will change and change and change. And you'll find answers that you didn't even know you were looking for. And you'll realize the first questions that you had were immature, stupid, they didn't make sense, and the answer wouldn't have helped you at all. For example, if somebody asked you, look, is the blue sky true? Is the blue sky true? Is that true? If you say yes, or if you say no, it's not going to help the person. Clearly they don't it's much better if you say, well, research what you're trying to ask me, and then approach it again. Are you trying to say, why is the sky blue? Are we talking about atmosphere? Like, what are you getting at? So when you're struggling with evolution, study biological evolution, guys. That's my advice. Researching and studying is so beautiful and it's so awesome. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I know this was a huge departure from the videos that I normally make, but you know, it's like waves. It comes in waves. Like, tons of people will be bothered by evolution, then a couple of years go by and it's not really a thing, and then boom, it becomes a thing again. So I just need to make this video and just explain how I feel about it. And I hope this video helps somebody out there. All right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hey, if you like my channel and want me to keep making videos, please consider heading over to Patreon and signing up to donate $1 or $2 per video. A lot of work goes into creating these videos for you guys, and every penny helps. Please remember to like and subscribe, and thank you so much for your support.